back to Crochet by Night. Tonight we're going to create this really easy double crochet beanie. It works up really fast and can be altered to fit different sizes depending upon the size hook and the size yarn you use. For this project tonight, I'm going to use a 6mm crochet hook, and I'm going to use a bulky number 5, which is, I love this chunky, super soft, in the color Berry Special. There is 109 yards in this skein, and it's 100% acrylic. Now the label recommends a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, but I am going to drop down for me to the 6mm so that I can make it a little smaller. It doesn't take a lot to make this this beanie. You should be able to do it with just one skein. That's what I did. If you don't have a size 5 bulky weight and you want to make this easy double crochet beanie, then by all means put 2 of the 4 weights together, the worsted weights, such as Red Heart Super Saver or any 4 weight. You put 2 of those together to create the bulky 5. Matter of fact, it'll make it just a tiny bit bulkier, but that's okay because it'll work up nicely. I'd like to show you this one, which I created using 2 strands of 4-ply worsted weight yarn. It's a little heavier than these created with a 5 bulky. I used a 6.5mm with this one. I used a 6.5mm with this one, and I used a 6mm with this one. So let's see if you can see the difference. There's not a lot of difference. Let's see if I can hold them up there. There's a tiny bit of bulk on that one, not much. And those were made with the same hook size. This one was made with a smaller hook size, and you can see it's still the same width. It's got a little bit less bulk to it, but either way you can make them out of the yarn that you would like and fit it to the size you need. So let's get started. You'll need some yarn, you'll need a crochet hook, and you'll need a needle to sew in your ends. So let me get this open here. I'm going to find the end of my yarn and pull it out. It is pulling. It had it stuck in the center, as you can see. And I'm going to stretch that out a little bit. The first thing you're going to want to do is create a slip knot. Loop the yarn over and hold it, and then put the yarn up through the center of the loop and pull through. That creates your slip knot. And you'll see that it will slip, close up tight if you're not careful on your hook. I like to leave it a little bit looser. Get your yarn, and we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you're going to slip stitch to the very first chain. So insert your hook into that very first chain, yarn over, then just pull on through the other loop on your hook. So that forms a ring. So you can see the ring there. And then you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That will count as your first double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook through the center of the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop. That gives you 3. It's kind of hard to tell with this bulky weight, but that gives you 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2, That leaves you 2 on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. So now you have 2 double crochets. Go ahead and put 10 more double crochets through the center of your ring. So when you're done, you'll have 11 double crochets and this chain 3, which we're counting as a double crochet. So you'll have 12 stitches in all. And I'll meet you back at the end of this round. Okay, when you have your total of 12 stitches, 11 double crochets and the chain 3, you're going to flip your work over and you're going to pull that tail, which will close up the center of your ring. And we're going to slip stitch into the very top of that chain 3. You're going to chain 3. That counts as your first stitch, as your first double crochet. You're going to yarn over and you're going to insert your hook back in that same stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That gives you an increase. So now you have two double crochets. So now you have 2 double crochets in the same stitch. We're going to place 2 double crochets in every stitch all the way around. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch underneath both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook back in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you have 2 stitches in the first, 2 stitches in the second. We're going to place 2 stitches in the third, yarn over, insert your hook underneath both those loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 1 more double crochet in that same stitch, yarn over, insert your hook back into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we have 2, 4, 6, okay? Keep going, yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. 1 more in that stitch, 1 more double crochet in that stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue on all the way around until you get to the very end, and I'll meet you back here in just a few moments. That'll give you 24 double crochets all the way around your ring. When you get to the end of that round, we're going to slip stitch into the top of your chain 3. Go right in there to the top, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that loop, and pull on through that loop, next loop. And that closes off that round. So that ends round 2. On round 3, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a double crochet back in that same stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we have an increased stitch there. We have 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Now we're going to just place 1 double crochet in the following stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So in the first stitch we had 2, the second stitch we had 1. In the next stitch we're going to have 2. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. put one more double crochet back in that same stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. The next stitch is just going to have one double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, that gives you 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 of those, yarn over and pull through the last 2. The next stitch will have 2 double crochets. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, giving you 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 of those, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. Yarn over, insert your hook back in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, that gives you 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. The next stitch will just have 1. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, whoops, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. The next stitch will have 2, so you see the round repeat where we had 2, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1, and then 2, and then 1. Now we're going to 2 again. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we had 2, 1, now we're going to put 1 more in this same stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Keep doing the same row repeat, this round repeat all the way around until you get to the very end. When you get back here, we'll meet back here. Be sure and count your stitches. You're going to have 36 stitches at the end of this round. To count your stitches, you can turn your work over so you can see, and if you look closely, you will see what appears to be a V. Each one of those V's is a stitch. So right now you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You should have 2, 3, 5, 6, 8. You should have 11, 10, and 11. You should have 11. If you count this chain 3, that makes 11. So you would have 11 stitches all the way around. At the end of this round, you'll have 36 stitches. So again, continue your round repeat. We just ended with 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Now you'll put 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Keep that up all the way around, and I'll meet you back here at the end of this round. Okay, at the end of this round, we're going to slip stitch in the top of the chain 3. So find the very top, yarn over and pull through, and go ahead and pull through that loop on your hook. Now that will be the last round where we do that. The rows, for every row after this, we will not close off the same way. Now we're going to just chain 1. That does not count as a stitch. And you're going to start putting double crochets. You're going to start putting double crochets, 1 into each space all the way around. So yarn over, insert your hook in the space between the 2 double crochets from the previous round. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Remember that chain 1 does not count. So go ahead and put a double crochet between every double crochet all the way around until you'll have 36 at the end of this round. And I'll meet you back here. Okay, at the end of this round, there's not going to be as much of a definition of where you started. So I'm going to put my last stitch in. And then instead of doing the slip stitch like we've been doing, I'm just going to continue around, putting a double crochet between all in each space around, and you'll see this starting to curl up, and you'll see it starting to get bigger, and it starts forming a hat. But before we move on to the next rows, you'll need to either use a stitch marker, or you can use another color of yarn. And I am going to grab going to use just a little piece of white yarn as my stitch marker, and I'm going to go right in here to my very first stitch, and I am going to pull that through so that I can mark where the beginning of my round is. Now, having done that, and having just finished the last stitch in row 4, I'm going to go ahead and put 1 double crochet in each space between the double crochets all the way around for 36 stitches each round for rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 5 more times. So when I get to the end of each round, I am going to move the stitch marker to the next row so that I know where the beginning stitch and ending stitch was. I'm going to put a double crochet in every space around for rows 5 through 9. So it doesn't look like the hat is big enough at this point. You can see if you're new to making hats, this might be a little bit of a panic moment. Don't worry. It does stretch, and it will get bigger as you complete your rounds. So at the end of round 9, go ahead and meet me back here. Okay, at the end of row 9, my beanie is measuring, let's see, from the very top, about 5 inches. What I want it to measure, and you can see this one I made previously, it's actually closer to 7.5, or 7 inches. So I need a couple more inches for my beanie to fit me the way I need it to. So I wanted you to stop here at row 9 to come back and visit with me, because I wanted you to try it on. So try on your beanie and see how it's fitting. People have different sized heads. From the crown of their head to the bottom of their ears is very different on people. So go ahead and try this on and see how it's working for you. I'm going to add probably, I would guess, about 4 more rows to mine, since I'm using a 6 millimeter. If you're using a 6.5 or 7 millimeter hook, you won't need as many rows. So go ahead and measure it, determine how many more rows you want to do, and also keep in mind, since you're not ending each round with a slip stitch, you're doing the continuous round. We're now doing the continuous round. It starts, there's no definite beginning and ending unless you have that marked. So go ahead and make sure you mark your beginning stitch make sure you mark your beginning stitch so that you can easily locate where to stop. You can count your rounds. There's 1, the very beginning, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you can see here where I'm at, that's my 9th. So you can count them, but it can become confusing because here there's only 8 and here there's 9. Anyway, sorry to keep rambling, but I want you to be sure and get the size you need. And then when you have the size you need, come back here and we will finish this beanie together with the last row. And the last row is going to be a row of single crochet. So go ahead, finish this off, get it the length you need, the size you need, and I will see you back in just a little while. When your hat is the length that you would like, or pretty close to it, then you're going to slip stitch right here into the beginning. I had my stitch marker here and I took it out, and you're going to slip stitch, and for your last row you're going to chain 1, and you're going to put a single crochet back in that same stitch. And now you're actually going up, you're actually crocheting in the stitch, so but in the spaces, you're crocheting under the 2 loops. So if you can see this, under the 2 loops here of the stitch. And you're going to put a single crochet by yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, and pulling through both. And you're going to do that all the way around your hat. You can put as many single crochet rows as you would like. I'm just going to do 1. I have put as many as 3 or 4 if I needed to add to the length of my hat, but for this particular hat, I'm only going to put 1 row of single crochets. So go ahead and put 1 row of single crochets all the way around the hat, and I'll see you back at the end. Okay, when you get to the end of when you get all the way around your hat with your single crochets, you're going to slip stitch to the beginning, chain 1, cut your yarn, fasten off by pulling the yarn through the loop on your hook, pulling it all the way out, and tightening. Now you're going to use your needle and you're going to sew in your end onto the inside in order to hide the end of it. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I sure enjoyed making it with you. As always, have a good night.